All right, welcome in. Tonight we have a very special guest, of course. We have the great Wes Moody with us. And yeah, we're just kind of hanging out doing a high heresy for a change because, well, even though I got the little United Resistance flavor, boy, it seems like more and more, yeah, there's a bit of a game afoot. Huh?
There's a lot to talk about, man. We've got so much. I mean, we finally have a lot of good news to talk about. And it's like, where do you start? Where do we start? Do we start with the good news? Do we start with what we think is going to happen? Do we start with, the black pill merchants? I mean, what do we do here?
Well, I don't know. I gotta say, through the first 10 days of this presidency, I'm very, very happy.
Me too. I'm over the moon. My expectations were already up here, and the deliverance was up here so far.
The the gloves are off. Things are getting done. I'm not happy with the holdup in the hearings process, which is a load of horseshit, and it's all pushed by uniparty people that are quite frankly scared of being exposed, which they've already gotten exposed simply through this portion of the hearing process. But I'm upset because there's no reason these should be going to uh, floor votes and people going on vacation and things like that. These people should be already be in place and confirmed. Thank God that Sean Duffy was,
Yeah,
because so far, from my perspective, he gets an A plus 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 for his work across the board, handling an incredibly high stress crisis, not even a full 24 hours into his work.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, we've got some good people in place, and these hearings. I mean, here's the thing: both. I mean, where do we start? I mean, it's so you have Tulsi, who used to be a Democrat, and you have RFK Jr., who used to be a Democrat, and then you've got Cash Patel, and Cash Patel, man, he handled those hearings like a boss. Did you see some of that?
Yes.
And
And I want to point out because he just flat out annihilated Bernie Sanders and said, you know, you took the money from the pharmaceutical company.
one of two of the top people that took the money from the pharmaceuticals. By
Mm-hmm.
the way, if he had not allowed that to be stolen from him, he would have been the nominee in 2016, and I believe he would have won.
Yep.
Dave's, I mean, like Dave Smith did a really good video on that where he's talking about, you should have, and I think Jimmy Dore has talked about it extensively in the past, and he's like, hey, you had this broad support, and you could have leveraged that support for something that they wanted. Now, me and you, maybe we didn't want it, Medicare for all or things of that nature, but he had that support. He could have played that card, and he didn't. He didn't, and that was why she lost. I mean, where do you even? There's so much wind. I don't even know where to start, Drew. I mean, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, there really is. I do want to say though, it's hard to come out where I'm at with. For now, I'm accepting at face value that they are tragic accidents. I still
Yes.
do believe that definitely the one in Philly was a tragic accident.
Yes.
I mean, they're showing stuff like where the little girl was at the Shriners Hospital and everything else, and she had a condition, and they were going to get treatment, and oh god, that's just so awful. It's so awful. Um,
It really is. But it's interesting where it crashed and how it mainly avoided houses. So whatever was happening with the pilot, um, maybe he was able to do that to where he avoided the houses and crashed in that mall parking lot or near the mall parking lot for the most part.
well, you would
I think there's
think
one casualty on the ground.
you would think if somebody knows that they're cooked and they're going down for good, that they're taught to go to the least populated area.
Yes.
So that makes sense. That 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 seems to add up. The I'm still a little puzzled on the first air accident earlier this week. um
Well,
i
I mean that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I want to face value accept that one, but there is just some little details that irk me. But I go right ahead, Wes. And I just want to say before you start your comment, just hello to everyone and hail to TZ Burton, hail to Rita, hail to Dwayne, Small Time Republic. It's good to see my crew in here. Awesome one. Um, Man, I missed everybody. I'm glad to be back. Well, uh, as quickly as I can be back.
That
Hail,
looks
Sherry.
it looks good. The studio looks good, man. Really good.
Yeah. Um, it's it could be better, but no. Go ahead with your thought, Wes, while you have it.
Well, what's interesting here is that the Black Hawk was apparently the Potomac River. I think that's where they were flying. That's known as a military route, and they were holding a continuity of government exercise. And the continuity, and as we know from, there's been reports that there were meetings in the Pentagon with what we call some deep state generals, and they were talking about continuity of government, and it's just interesting that we had this this training exercise, and normally they fly. I was looking it up. They fly 200 to 250 feet elevation through over the Potomac, and that is a known thing for planes approaching and departing. And that in this case, the helicopter was at like 400 feet. So I found
Hmm.
that a bit interesting that that was the case. But I I think that if you're looking at the evidence, what happened was you had in the tower for the air traffic controller, they gave a
There was
warning.
a staffing issue.
Yes, so they gave a warning, and you can hear him give the warning. He asked, "Do you see the plane?" But he doesn't say which one. And I know that circulating on the internet, they give you know different videos showing not the departing plane. It's like, well, we got you. See this new video where it doesn't show the departing plane? Well, they asked him if he saw the plane, and you can clearly see in the original videos there's the approaching plane and the departing plane. And so the explanation is that they asked him if he saw the plane, and that he looked at the departing plane, which was the one that was taking off, and not the arriving plane, which was the one that hit him. And so he had his eyes on that one. And with helicopters, I don't know if anybody really knows this, but a lot of helicopters, I don't know anything about Blackhawks, but I know that many of the helicopters, where the feet are, there's like a plexiglass part of the fuselage, I guess is what you might call it. And so the helicopters, they're focusing down because it's a different type of aircraft, and an airplane is, with the way the windows are in there, focuses, you can see in front of you and up, and so that may have been a plausible explanation for how that accident occurred, was that he was looking at the wrong plane.
Yeah, we got some comments to get to really quickly because some
Yeah,
people
let's
are
do it.
making some great points. John Yazel's first comment here, and hello, John, welcome. Air accidents happen regularly. Only reason why this was headlined by mass media was to try to smack Trump just after his charges were publicized and headlined again, all part of the how the mainstream media acts and how they especially coordinate with the deep state. So I understand that 100%. Um, Terry Rose was pointing out 300, 350, give or take 25 feet.
Okay, but
Um,
100, 100 feet is going to be close, or
mhm.
75 feet is going to be close, but it's not going to be a collision. So I see what you're saying, Terry Rose. Yes.
John says, I'm not sure of anyone's field of study. I'm well rounded in many subjects, but the 100 monkey theory goes along this line. If you follow, once a threshold is met where a certain number of people or animals see and believe something, it transfers telepathy. Well,
Telepathically? Interesting.
John, listen,
That's another show right there.
that's a whole nother show. Yes, we if you followed Wes or I, we talked extensively about things like Operation Paperclip, Operation Mockingbird, things of that nature. Myself having a degree in communications. I was once going to go into the radio and television industry. Thank God I didn't because I really enjoy the more organic way of doing it here and not being controlled. But we absolutely know it was controlled. We know they had CIA operatives within that. And they even taught that freely, believe it or not, in the little school of broadcasting that I went to when I was getting my degree in broadcasting. They openly talked about that, about CIA operatives being on the payrolls of the major radio and television stations. So the psyops have been going on for decades, and we know that. We know that information was curated and everything like that. So yes, and there's psyops beyond that happen. But again, that's it's, as Wes said, that's another show. Uh, awesome one
What?
says my dad has been in aviation for decades, and he keeps saying the intensity of freaking out about plane crashes has increased. Yes, part of it I do believe is to sow hysteria among the traveling public. Uh, Hail Pope Metallicus.
Hail, my friend. Good to see you.
But yeah, despite what the apparatus and the deep state is throwing out there, you know, I look at as you said, Wes, the wins, and there are a lot of them coming fast and furious. The the way that they are taking a good aggressive approach to these immigration raid operations every day. I am liking that quite a bit. Um, I do think, by the way, guys, now that Doge and Elon have root access to the the funding apparatus. We are going to
Mm.
have, we are in, grab your popcorn because we are in for some fireworks on what exactly the expenditures have been. And
Well, and the fact that there's a green light. I mean, there was a 60 Minutes report on that, where people were bilking the defense budget for, and it was an automatic you get paid, and these people had these bolts. You know, you think a 50, $50 hammer or a $500 hammer is a lot of money, which was reported during the Reagan administration. They were just like paying the money during the Bush administration, and now you have what you find is that they're automatically paid, and it's like what, no, not 50%, not 75%, not 80%, 100%. It was just like, here's your money, here's your money. So you could have, you could just set up an LLC on like LegalZoom.com, say that you're providing, a service or materials to the Defense Department, and you get paid for that. You get paid millions of dollars for that.
mm-hmm.
And the only way those people got caught on 60 Minutes was that they wrote the Defense Department wrote a letter to them, asking a question, and the people that were receiving these funds, supposedly they were providing bolts, and they said, they wrote a letter to offer to pay the money back, and that was the only way that they got caught. And had they not responded to that Defense Department letter, they would have continued bilking the Defense Department and the budget.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. He did say already that the that U.S. aid thing was nothing but a slush fund. Oh God, he also said that there was already the fact that what was it, Treasury or something was paying out everybody. There was no stop payments on anything. They were paying out everybody, even known fraudulent entities, fraudsters.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. They were just
Yep.
paying out everyone,
Everyone.
and
And,
it's
and with USAID, here's the thing. They already said that, even with the personnel, resign or, I mean, Drew, we've got so much to talk about here. So many wins. I mean, I don't even know where to start. But on
well,
this
and that
issue,
guy, it's funny. Radioactive mentioned it. Inhale Radioactive, great to see you as well. Eternal Vigilance, great to see you. My goodness, I'm seeing so many of my people. It's great. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it, guys. But the uh,
absolutely.
but the cool thing is you know, hail Wolf Den. Great to see
Hail,
you
my
as well.
friend. Good to see you.
You know,
So what they were saying was that the U.S. aid, what we had designated as aid, and who was to receive it, only 10% of that money was going to the intended recipients.
hmm
So it's like, whoa. I mean, I think in the United States, a charity, if 15% of the money gets to the actual mission of the charity, a 501c3 or whatever it is, that's considered a good charity. And here with USAID, 10% of the money is getting to the intended recipients. It's like, what?
well, Wes, we've been over the target, you and I, the entire time. Because we've been talking about the climate change grift, and before that, it was just insert war here before the Ukraine war. It's all grift because all
Yeah,
it was what Awesome One is saying right here: a siphon to remove America's wealth so WEF could, uh, have their sway over the government.
well, in one of the Rockefeller documents, it talked about this. Stronger together, Smart Scramble had 4 different scenarios they worked out. And in some Defense Department documents, it had, well, what we need to be on the lookout for is NGOs that are, non-governmental entities that are organizations that are like Odessa. Basically, that's what they are. Our elites are creating, an international Odessa for themselves and leaving us high and dry. And U.S. aid seems to be a part of that. And by terminating their funds, it's cutting that off. And if only 10% of the money spent is getting to the intended recipients, yeah, you should cut that off. Absolutely.
Well, awesome one. You're not wrong.
No.
Look, Kenya smartened up. They got out of the World Health Organization. Other countries are following suit on the heels of the U.S. As we get slowly untangled from that. If we go back home for a second, the Democrats are in a shambles. By the way, as you got people like Hakeem Jeffries coming out today saying, "Oh, we got to fight people in the streets." Are they going to really FAPO all of us? Are they going to do that? Because it's not going to end well for them. And
Yeah.
and them hiring or them voting in David Hogg as their vice chair.
They might as well be the Green Party at this point. If you want David Hogg as the vice chair, I mean that's where you're going. You're going to be consigned to the irrelevancy like the I hate to say it, but the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. That's where you're going with that.
Oh God, we have most of the libertarians in the MAGA sector now. That's
You
that's where that is.
you have angry libertarians. I mean, Dave Smith has talked about it, and it's like, what the hell do you people, you know? Okay, I don't even know where to start. There's so much win. Okay, the black pill merchants, your Greg Reese's, for example, and some other folks are like, it's the name of the proto-Christian religion that Christ was a member of. Those folks, it's like it's all them, the proto-Christian religion folks that were, the Anasazi proto-Christian folks were doing that, and it's like, huh? Well, I mean, there certainly are members of that group that are bad, and there's certainly history there, but we're in the here and the now, and looking at the what the administration has done. It's he made these promises and he kept these promises. He's keeping these promises, and there's a reason we have a representative republic. It's because human beings are the ones that are doing it, and we have a human being here in our president Donald Trump that's exercising some common sense and keeping his promises, and I kept all of them so far. I mean, most of them. I mean, where do we go from here? I mean, he's kept most of his promises, and so I hope this continues. I saw something on Twitter that said, and it may have been Dave Smith or someone else, but one of the people that left the Libertarians, capital L Libertarian Party versus small L Libertarian, which is what I think I am, and maybe you might be, Drew, but they're it's it's like you're splitting hairs here. You're it's that whole "you're not a true libertarian" argument, and it just like carries no weight right now after this. It really doesn't
You
so
know,
far.
right. Like I'm happy by the way to see Shell back. Tim, I haven't talked to you forever, so it's good to see you, buddy. RR, it's always great to have you around here, and thanks for wrenching it, boys. I appreciate you. Um, Look, don't get me started on NGOs, because this right now steams the hell out of me, especially given the fact that I'm a Catholic. Okay, I already hate the Pope because he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I've told everybody the guy's a pretender. I've told you, I have been all over this. You guys know how long I've been all over this. I've told you the upper hierarchy of my church is a bunch of Luciferian douchebags. Okay, I'm not going to back off that. Now, all right, since I was a kid, when I was growing up, going to Catholic schools and stuff, my parents were given to Catholic charities and all that, right? Well, now Catholic charities is nothing but a corrupt NGO that then they may have been corrupt the whole time. That's just been giving money to the illegals. They've just been giving money to the illegals. And it's not just them, it's United Way and people like that. They're all in conjunction with the UN. They got this nice apparatus to work with the illegals. And you know what they're telling people? All right. And this is what steams me so bad right now. I'm sitting here trying to survive daily, and I'm stuck with no vehicle, living in a hotel, barely any belongings, barely food if I can have it. And then I call for help. I call 211 like they tell you to. I do the things that you're supposed to do. And I'm told, oh, we have no funds available for an American. I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I'm a real American. My family is American. But they're going to hand it all to other countries and to the illegals. That's why I'm so passionate about the housing crisis and what the homeless are going through, not just because I'm living it and I'm living right adjacent to it, but I'm more passionate about it because it's being misused. They're not helping Americans, they're not doing anything of what they should be doing. And I want to see those NGOs burn. Sorry, I that is a rant I've been holding in that I wanted to get out.
Well, I want to address a good friend Shellback here, his comment. One of the retarded things, the libertarians are against the Pledge of Allegiance. I think they're against the pledge for a number of reasons, but one of them is, I believe, I mean, if we're talking capital L Libertarian Party, what was the under God part that was inserted by President Eisenhower. And I can see both sides of that argument under God, because our national motto before then that appeared on the money, E pluribus unum, from many come one. And I do think that that is the more appropriate thing to put on the money, especially going forward. But I hear you, Shellback. I mean, it's a case of, not seeing the forest through the trees with the libertarians and that whole "you're not a true libertarian" thing, and the separation of church and state. All separation of church and state meant was, the federal government, you shall not establish religion. And what that meant was like the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, or if you're in a Muslim country, Islam, Sharia law, things of that nature. That's all it meant. I mean, the Ten Commandments that happened here in my hometown of Sacramento. Michael Newdow, I think it was. He wanted to get that completely out of that and not have the pledge done. And it's like, okay, well, just take out under God. Under God was the end. So help me God at the end of the presidential oath does not. Oh, whoops, wrong one. So help me God at the end of the presidential oath. That was something that George Washington did extemporaneously and it is not in the Constitution as part of the oath. In fact, I believe that Herbert Hoover, when he took the oath, because the Constitution says, "Do you swear or affirm?" I believe that Herbert Hoover and one other president, I don't know who the other one was, affirmed. He said, "I affirm," rather than "I swear."
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, yeah, but just going back to the NGOs for a second. The other reason I am so sour on them is because so many are involved in conjunction with the UN with human trafficking, and God, they need a burn. Um,
Yeah.
Hail to Helam, great to see
Hail,
you.
my friend.
Um, guys, in that vein, if you do want to help, can use this link, or I have as the pinned link in the chat. My PayPal is up there directly. It's pretty rough right now, and I'm trying to just get to where I have a bridge to get on my feet. So, um, I hate it, but I'm doing my best I can to survive. I'm just glad to be back and using my voice again. Depression's kept me out of the game for a long time, but I know that
Welcome to my
these
world.
these discussions are needed. These discussions are needed because if people like Wes and I don't speak up, then there you go.
It really
Yeah.
is, and yeah, I mean, we've had a rough time during the I call it the reign of error. That's what I call Biden's time in the White House, the reign of error. And I mean, you and I, we've all had a rough time through it, and it's amazing because out on the street, I don't know if you've noticed it, Drew, but I sure have, and that is there. People are carrying themselves differently. They are much more optimistic than they were before the election results.
Well, they are. I mean, there's a lot of the people that now can feel empowered. After the election results, a lot of people are empowered because, you know, you can stand up to those that were mentally ill, the ones that were calling you a Nazi and everything else. Their power has been taken away.
Yep.
Wolf, if you would like to reach out on Twitter and request one. I don't do open panels myself. I This is a pre-planned show, so it won't be this evening. But if you want to be on a future show, let me know.
Absolutely. So RR says, yeah, libertarians have the tendency to be radical individualists. I'm for it, but when you have someone that's keeping their promises and seems to be a good man and good governance, I mean, okay. So I'll acknowledge we've talked about Musk. I'll try not to be too long here, but we've talked about Musk and our skepticism about Musk and the Everything app and all that stuff. Well, we have a deal maker in office here, and I think we can all agree that we are better off than we would have been with Kamala in office right now. Much better off. And the
Yeah,
rapidity with which he's moved in keeping his promises. I mean, I don't keep days like that. The kind of hours he's putting in to do this stuff, and the transparency that we're getting. I mean, just like having, a gaggle of reporters in the Oval Office just signing executive orders. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What happened in the previous 4 years He's already done more press than Biden did the entire time he was in office.
Well, look, this housing crisis and the quality of living, Rita's talking about that. She's doesn't even have a sewage system there. You know, um, it's driven people to have to live out of hotels, live out of their cars. Even people with a job. All right. There shouldn't be a working poor class. America should not have a working poor class. We shouldn't have the homeless epidemic to the numbers that we do. And if so, we certainly have the resources to help, but that help is not going where it should. And that is what I hate. I really, really hate that. And Reed is correct. And to a larger degree, the comment Shellback made about living in the Biden administration funk, yeah, because that's going to last for a while. The effects of it are going to last. You know, just because Trump has a plan and everything looks good moving forward, it's not an overnight fix. And a lot of people, I think, want that overnight fix, and that's not going to happen just because of the catastrophic damage that was done. I mean, I don't think that we all realize the just the magnitude of the damage that this last administration did. We were literally a rudderless ship for 4 years with a bunch of criminals running the show. It's horrible. You know,
You know what I'm appreciative of? I am appreciative of the fact that we had some difficult economic times. Chips are down. You really find out who your friends are. That's what I'm appreciative of. And some people, they talk a good game, but when the chips are down and things get tough, uh, you know, they make these compromises. They sell out a little bit. And, that's what I'm grateful for because, if things go in a different direction and they get bad again, you know who your friends are. You know who you can trust and you know who the pikers and the people that talk a good game are. You know who those people are. So that's what I'm grateful for. Hail Vigilante Williamson. Welcome, my friend.
well, the the funny thing is, Wes, and it isn't to toot our own horn, but it has been, I think, the redeeming quality that you and I have is we've always stayed the same. You know, you and I may have started out on the whole, oh, we're gonna do the fandom thing, and we're gonna point out all that's wrong with pop culture, and I had to do it a lot writing for Bounding at the time when Bounding was a thing, and I was actually working there, but once I got into independent journalism and I could talk about everything that I knew was happening and understood what was happening and was able to be able to come on here and communicate that to the audience and have those discussions, I felt so much more empowered because I was in my wheelhouse and we've never deviated from that. We've never changed.
Yeah.
We've had some discussions with some really major people and we've had discussions amongst ourselves, but we never changed where our lane is, because we know where our lane is. Because basically, our lane is saving America, saving humanity.
You know who else knows? Has stuck to it when things got tough. Laura Logan, who that
That's
interview that we
right.
did with, she stuck to her guns.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's on your channel. You folks, when you're done here, if you're new to the channel or you haven't seen it, you need to watch that Laura Logan interview because that was fire right there.
Yeah, it's funny. She was actually like over the target on a lot of shit that would come to pass later on too.
Yeah, we talked to her about Musk and her opinions on Musk. She has changed her opinion on Musk, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that was a I think that was the best Laura Logan interview I've ever seen.
We're, to date, dude, we're still one of the
Yeah.
longest, if not the longest, that she's done
3.5 hours.
with a
Yep.
small podcast. You know?
Yeah. And you know what? It doesn't even matter that that she was a big name or any of that stuff. She was cool to hang out with. She was cool to have a podcast with. She was real. She was keeping it real, and it was nice to talk to her. She had a very keen mind, and you know, she's very pretty lady too, which helps a little bit.
Yeah, she's mad hot, no lie.
Yeah.
Um what's her opinion on Musk now?
I can't tell if
Well,
Adam here in the chat is a troll or not. I don't know what's going
well, he
on.
is.
Okay.
I'm actually honored because it's like it's nice to actually like you're doing something right if you got somebody like actually up trolling your chat. So
Yeah.
you know one of the wrenches will smack him if he gets out of hand.
Yeah, we believe in free speech. Go ahead and spin your yarns,
Yeah.
man.
He's drunk, high, or trolling,
Probably some combination of
or
the
all
three.
three.
Yeah. Hey, I've trolled a lot of channels, so when I see a troll, I recognize a troll. It's all good, man. No, you don't have to shut up. Keep talking. We're free speech. We love it when people talk. Have you seen some of the self-owns that have been happening on Twitter right now, Drew? Because I've been seeing a lot of them. I'll share one from Katie Couric right now that I thought was like, what? You're admitting to that? Okay. Let's see here. There's a couple of them. So here we go. I'll share this because I was like, thank you for pointing that out to us here, Katie. So she was referencing Trump rotating out the legacy media for the new media, and here's what her post was. Let me share that with you. Yeah, here you go. Here's for all to see. Boom. Wow. So this is how news becomes propaganda. It's begun. Pay attention. And there you have the memo talking about how they're rotating out NBC, the New York Times, NPR, and Politico for the New York Post, Breitbart,
Oh yeah.
and Post. It's like, yes, Katie, that is how it becomes propaganda. And that was how you became propaganda. Cell phone.
Yeah, and it's funny because the new press secretary, by the way, guys, I thought Kayleigh McEnany was good, but man, this chick's a beast.
Yeah, it's
You
very
know,
good.
we watched the first press briefing the other day, and my fiance Athena, she's not super into politics, and it's not nearly as much as I am, but Athena was like, "Wow, that lady's sharp,"
Mm-hmm.
and we were just watching her just absolutely handle those reporters. That was great.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, again, when we started the stream, it's like, where do you start? And I mean, when she did her, I think her first press conference, or maybe her second, I think it was the first. The first thing she said was, "Let's talk about the New Jersey drones." So I just got out of President Trump's office, and here's what's going on. They were authorized by the FAA, and they were testing and for other research purposes. Now I don't know what the other research purposes. I mean, so much has happened in the last, since we now have a real president. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't think we've gotten the full explanation, but we got an explanation, which is a far cry from, which was a really, the Biden administration never gave us one. We had that DEI hire, and you know,
Hail to Godzillionaire. Good to
hail,
see
my
you at
friend.
this late hour.
Good to see you, my friend. So yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about, really.
Mm-hmm.
Rita, Rita says Donald Trump has always talked about no one having to lower their living standards. I've worked so hard for what I have in all my life. Not fancy, but I can't even keep up. Welcome to our world, Rita. I am like living hand to mouth right now, and I think I'm finally getting out of it. But
Well, you see, and that's a portion of the problem here. The I'm sitting here in my current job. I'm on a 2 week pay cycle. Now I get that check. It doesn't stretch to cover, the room rent here, and then the other expenses plus groceries. And recently Athena just started a new job, but you know, she doesn't get into better hours until next week, and hence a better paycheck. So now, all this time I've been having to carry it on a 2 week check that doesn't even stretch. And then, you know, it makes you feel like hell because you have to ask for help. And these entities that are supposed to help, they don't help. So where do you have to turn? Then you really have to turn to, like, crowd funds and things like that, because you can't get help from places you should be getting help.
yep,
It's so ridiculous. And I can see why a lot of people, that get stuck in shelters, that have to live out of cars, that have to do that, and they're still working, why they get so depressed, why the suicide rate's up, because they're, even though it says that there's help out there, oh, call 211, it's not there for them.
hmm
So what are they supposed to do? And I'm doing everything right that society says I should do. I'm working, I'm getting all the hours I can, which apparently isn't a lot because I'm being handed like 32 hours a week. But I mean, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But you know, it seems not enough, and so many Americans are going through that, and we as Americans should not be going through that, because there, again, should not be a working poor class. There should be a middle class, not a working poor class.
Well, the commies would say, raise the minimum wage to a living wage. That's what they would say. They're full of shit.
No, where it needs to to be done, and I think he's doing it the right way, is is um, is make America the leader, and you do the supplying, not vice versa. We shouldn't be importing more than we're exporting. And that is what I think is good about Trump's plan, but it's going to take a while.
It will. I think, we'll see the fruits of that maybe a year or two off.
Right, exactly. It's going to take a while, Wes. And for people, for those of you guys that are
with one caveat, if he increases energy production, we will see prices decrease immediately. In fact, people are like, oh, he's putting tariffs on. He hates inflation, so he's going to put tariffs on. That's going to make things more. Well, you're missing the point. He said increase energy production, and we have a petrodollar. We're the reserve currency right now. You increase the petrodollar, that lowers prices. You get a stronger dollar, that makes imports cheaper. You make imports cheaper and you put tariffs on the imports if they're cheaper, you're not going to notice the tariffs. That will increase the revenue and prices will go down for you, an American. It's pretty common sense, but look at these people just hooting and hollering and screaming.
right. Energy will, if they can get energy prices down, it will bring a lot down.
I was paying like 225, 250 at the pump in California for a while. I couldn't even fucking believe that shit.
I wonder, Wes, if we really are headed towards income taxes being done, though. You
If
know,
they,
I am still of the mindset that you need at least a goods and services tax, but I think that's it. I don't think you need to tax payroll. I don't think you need to tax people's property.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things when I was looking for other states to move to, and we have a horrible income tax here in California. In Texas, so in California, we have this thing called Prop 13, which when you buy the house, that's what the house is assessed at. And as far, there are minimal rises that are tied to inflation over time, but those are your taxes and those stay your taxes. Even if property values double or increase, or there's a bubble or whatever it is. And then you have a way, if they go down, you can your taxes can go down. You can appeal that. Well, in Texas, they have high taxes. They reassess it at what your property value is. And then they will sometimes increase the taxes. So, and you get real sticker shock in Texas if you own property over that. And I was like, whoa, I don't think I like that. So Texas didn't seem like, as good of a deal as I initially thought it was. Plus, it's hot as fuck, and there are these gigantic bugs, and you can't buy liquor in a grocery store or a convenience store. What? Like before I got here, when I bought my whiskey, I went to the gas station. I was like, I want whiskey, and they had it. So whatever, it is what it is.
Godzillionaire says I can at least pretend consumption taxes like sales tax are okay. The passive taxes like income and property tax are total BS. Yep, I agree with that. Hail Philip Gaming. Great to see you,
Hail,
bud.
my friend.
Yeah, and a lot of the states are out of hand with their tax, because when you get hit up on federal, you get hit up on state, you get hit up on city, you're getting it, you're getting it right nailed up the chute 3 times, man. 3 times. That's just crazy.
Whoops. Let's see here. I think John Newzell had a comment here. The way around property taxes assessed valuation the tax man uses. About this home for 10K cash. It was valued at 85 before I bought it. 2,500 taxes after the 10K sale went to like 500. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my great grandma, she bought her house in the early 50s, and when she passed away in 1996, she was paying like $300 a year in taxes on that damn house, and that was like, it was one of those old craftsman style houses built in the 1890s, maybe the 1900s. And that was like an 1,800 square foot house, and that was ginormous in those days. That was ginormous even in the 50s, and it had to be reassessed, but whatever.
One cool thing we haven't talked about, Wes, that I was impressed with Trump about was he put bricks on notice. You put the BRICS countries on notice.
Well, I looked at that. Yes, I saw that, and here, I think it's good for him to do that because the petrodollar is where we base our much of our strength now. The question I have is, do we still have the leverage to do that? And seems like his response is yes, we do with the tariffs. He has a great record of success. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question here. Who was the in the 20th century the home run record holder?
Are you talking about before the steroid era?
Well, even before the steroid era. Yeah.
Well, that was oh god. This is I think the record was 61. This is a Maris's record. And Bonds broke that. Barry Bonds broke that during the steroid era, but they essentially didn't count that.
Well, before that, yeah, we'll say.
Yeah. Some Roger Maris.
Well, okay. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant of sports, but I believe before that, Babe Ruth was the home run record holder. But guess who the strikeout record holder was?
Hmm.
Babe Ruth.
No, yeah, makes sense.
So, what does that tell you about what we're dealing with here? So, um, he held both of those records, both the strikeout and the home run. Yeah, RR's got it. Yep.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, and I guess that could be an allegory for life. That could be an analogy for life, in that which one do you focus on? Do you focus on being the strikeout record holder or the home run record holder?
Well, there
And
is no perfect science
yeah,
either. You got to take a swing.
that's that
Yeah.
is that's the lesson right there. That's what
Hmm.
they're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Wes, I will allow you to have the floor for a few minutes because I have to step away and use the boys' room.
Okay. So, folks, we're at a pivotal time in history here, and whatever happens in the future, people are going to look back at this time for a number of reasons, and we're just John Q. Public, your average person here, but they will look at this point of time in history for a number of reasons, and one of them is Donald Trump being the second president to uh, serve non-consecutive terms, and the first president to be twice impeached, and the first businessman president. And so, for that reason, a number of people are going to be looking back when we're dead and gone. They're going to be looking back at this period of history with great interest because of that, and they'll look at him, of course, first, and some kid, whatever version of their encyclopedias are in the future, whether it's online or whether it's like the time machine where they have these little spinny discs that they look at. I guess what we're doing here on the internet, Drew and I, we're kind of like, in the time machine where they spin the discs and they say, "My name is of no consequence." And, we're fighting this info war here and trying to fight for the cause of liberty and freedom and individuality. And, how it's going to play out these next 4 years is your guess or mine. But we're putting up the good fight, and thanks to our overlords here, all of this is being kept in a vault and a record somewhere. Even those of us that have had YouTube channels that have been nuked, that have been hidden from public view, there's still a record of all those webcasts in there somewhere. And so it matters. It does matter. It matters that people thousands of years from now, hundreds of years from now, see what we've talked about, and see what we've done here, what our opinions are, how we feel, and maybe even the fact that we're human might be of some comfort to people in the future. And so that's very important. And I'm glad to be a part of it. I do hope that YouTube unbans my channels at some point, though, considering where things are going. John Yazell says, funny that you mentioned that. I'm working on a book to develop a time machine, closed time loops, wormholes, time dilations. I am working on Conspiracy Chronicles, my friend, which is RR is in the chat here, and he's been with me the whole step, the whole way. And it's not about that necessarily. It's more about it gets a bit metaphysical at times, we'll say, but it's a really good story. I'm very proud of the episode we just got done with here. We're getting ready to finish. And I mean, that'll be part of the record too. We shall see. So Shellback says, I'd like to have about 100 acres somewhere to park an RV. To park said RV. Yeah. You and me both, buddy. Fucking off to the woods still does not seem like a bad idea. Although, make sure you check out where you fuck off to the woods too.
Amen to
Hail
that.
Parrothead. Yes. Yeah, in fact, that was part of the inspiration for Conspiracy Chronicles was wasn't my business, selling real estate. I had somebody that wanted to, grow some weed up in the hills, right? So we went up to the hills and we stopped off at this. So for those of you that are not familiar with rural Northern California, you will have in the same building, it'll be connected, a general store, a bar, and the post office all in one building. And so we're trying to find this property. We don't have cell phone service. It's way out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And, I'm in my suit and tie, and this was not a suit and tie kind of place. Plus the dude was a black guy, which doesn't go over so well out in the rural areas so well. We walked in there and I walked in and it was like record scratch silence. And the guys and the bartender looked at me and he said, "Hey man, you a cop?" So make sure if you're going to bug out somewhere on acreage with an RV, make sure that you check the place out first.
Oh man. Well, I want to as I said, I've got some ideas, chat. I definitely am going to in the coming days. I've already been looking at it and I'm going to do another merch shop. Stream Elements changed their whole merch shop thing around, so I may go ahead and do one through Teespring. I'm looking at just some different sites right now to do that. And as far as everything else, uh, the Give Send Go is active. And if you want to help the channel, you can use the Stream Elements link here, or you can just directly hit me up through PayPal. I put my PayPal email address as the pinned comment, and the Cash App as well. That's hashtag Patriot Journalist 74. You know, any, of course, it's never required. It's always appreciated. Uh, it would certainly save the heck out of me because it's rough right now, and frankly, I could use something to eat in the house. So that would be awesome. So, but you guys have been on this journey with me now for God, closing in on 3-4 years at least, if not longer, and I am thankful for each and every one of you. You have been hardcore supporters, hardcore audience, and I don't know what I'd have done without you guys through everything from meeting Mama Heretic through grieving her loss, through my ups and my downs. You guys have always been here. And I just want all of you to know how much I appreciate your friendship and I love you as though you were family. Because in a lot of ways, you guys have been extended family through all of this.
Absolutely. If you guys can go ahead and the link is right there. I've contributed, so definitely if you can. But if you can't, don't. But if you can, absolutely chip in a few bucks here, because I know what that's like. Man, there was a period of time where I'm embarrassed to say I had to go to Winco and I'd get like a giant box of those, and even ramen's gotten expensive now. I had to get one of those,
Yeah.
but I like the pork flavored ones, and I was so broke I had to get like the pork ramens, and I wouldn't even heat them up. I would just crack them and I'd eat them like a cracker. I'd break the two halves apart and I would shake the seasoning on there, get some of that tapatio sauce or you know, some hot sauce on there, and I would just eat them like a cracker. That's what I would do. It's terrible.
Tim, if you weren't making smart ass comments, Tim, it wouldn't be you. TZ Burton, I appreciate you, my friend. I will I will be reaching out to some of you guys, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention the legacy of Will on this channel, because you guys went and grieved through that with me too, and we still miss Will, and it just isn't the same without him. I still remember the time that we were doing a United Resistance, and somehow the stream stayed on, and Will was streaming by himself to an audience for God knows how many hours, and it was just absolutely ridiculous fun. And he didn't even know, and that was just the greatest thing ever. So I miss him. That was my real life bestie, and I miss that guy. But you guys have been my extended family through all of this, and I'm determined. Every man has a great woman behind him. I have a really honest to goodness great one now. I can't say enough good things about her. One of these times I'm going to get her on a live stream, and she'll probably be all cheery and have some things to say. And thank you to those of you that have followed her on X. Uh, she's happy with that. But yeah, you guys have been through the ups and downs, bad relationships and losses, and I thank you for that. I can't thank you guys enough for your friendship and support. But no, I think Wes, there's going to be some some interesting developments coming about even next week. Um, even though the confirmation process has been convoluted, and I don't think Pete Hegseth is the last time that JD Vance is going to have to intervene.
I don't think so either.
Um, you
I think he's
know,
going to have to intervene on all three of these guys.
yeah, I think they got uh they really got it out for Tulsi. They really got it out for RFK, and they definitely have it out for Cash Patel.
Cash did a very good job. I was, again, this is going to be a theme. I had high expectations, but he exceeded my expectations, especially that back and forth that he had with Haruna. Was it Haruna?
Oh,
Or was
Mazzy
she
Hirono,
Haruno's?
God. Oh, dude.
What is wrong with that chick? She sounds like she's on Valium or something.
Yeah, you remember like the weird thing. That lady has like a weird obsession with sexual deviancy. There's she's the one that asks every single like nominee about their sex life or something pertaining to that. It's so weird.
She clearly hasn't been laid in a very long time. She's like, "Oh, did you settle out of the court a settlement for sexual harassment?" And it's like, what? What are you talking about, you fucking weirdo?
I
And she's
mean,
she's even reading from it.
oh God, man, yeah, and Liz Warren, just her fucking meltdowns are priceless. So is Adam Schiff is shitting himself because
Mm.
he knows he's going to get investigated. He's going to be on the block.
I think that's the least of his worries. He is a very bad guy, and I think the gloves are off, and he needs to really be careful. Schiff would, if I were President Trump, Schiff would definitely be at the top of my list. I don't even know how he ended up becoming the senator because I did not vote for the guy, and nobody likes him. If you go around okay, my local board, county board of supervisors, he was invited to the swearing in, but I don't even think that guy. I don't even think he likes him.
Yep. Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's exactly is. Oh man, I need to you know when things stabilize a bit, Wes, I need to apply for one of those credentials for the White House, even if it's a one-time thing, and just go to a press conference and cover that.
I mean, we're in a new world. Look, the only reason the main, the legacy media was around as long as they were was because, they had help. They had a lot of help. The thumb was on the scale, and that's over now. That's over now. I still have some reservations about Musk, but I like what he's doing with Doge. And I mean, see, again, we're talking about so much good stuff here. It's ridiculous. We talked about U.S. aid. 10% of the money went to where it was supposed to go, and the automatic payments that were happening at the Treasury Department. And I think Musk said that by fiscal year 2026, the deficit should be down half of what it is now, $1 trillion. And he believes that economic growth, I'm trying to get clarification on that. If he said economic growth will close the gap on the deficit, or if it will increase GDP by $1 trillion, I was unclear. But in any case, it needs to happen, and it's good to see it happening. And having worked in government service before myself, there was a video that I shared on my channel. Maybe I should cue that thing up, but it is absolutely spot on. I'll cue it up. Here we go. I think I've got it on Twitter. But basically nobody's doing any work here, and that people have jobs or businesses outside of that. They're biding their time for retirement. That is all true, and hard workers are punished. Oh, believe me, I know about that. Yeah, you don't want to be a hard worker working a government job. You do not, because they will target your ass. I don't know. We have some new people in the chat here. I'll tell my story. So I got a job as a budget analyst with our state here in California. And so this was a position that was not entry level, it was above entry level. But what happened was you can't fire government employees. So what they do is when they have turkeys, they send them out to, a satellite office or an office that's out in the middle of, bumfuck nowhere that nobody knows where it is. And they send the turkeys there, the weirdos. And so I didn't know this because I was like, a job's a job and you do your job and that's what you do. And so my assignment was one spreadsheet a month. I'm not even kidding you, one spreadsheet a month. That was my job. And so I got done with the spreadsheet in like half an hour, and that did not go down well at all. So they said, so I had a good boss that said, oh, do this and reconcile these and go through the old records, and I found a bunch of errors, and that didn't go down well at all. Oh, this is going to embarrass us. It's not going to look good. We're trying to get our budgets up. And she got cancer, and her boss, my job, she wanted her friend for that job. And I was like, and around the office, she was like, oh, I can't believe they hired this guy from the street. He doesn't know anything about working in government. And I've got my friend, and she got a temporary appointment, 2 years. And he got a permanent appointment, not even being in the government. That's, you start off at, the lower level, an SSA in California. You start off there and you do that for 4 years, and then you become a budget analyst. That's how you do that. And then she went around and she's like, oh, it sucks he doesn't have a fallback. At least I get to fuck him before I get rid of him, meaning have sex with me. I'm not even joking about this shit, guys. Not even joking. And it was with an earshot of everybody. Everybody could hear her talking about this stuff. And I was like, what? And so I went into her office and I was like, hey, sorry. And they're not used to direct confrontations in government either. And I came from the private sector and I do a lot of negotiations. And I said, hey, sorry to hear about your friend, but this job is taken. And the term railroading, she tried to railroad me out, and I fought it, and I ended up getting, I didn't keep my job, but I got a settlement, a settlement. But this dumb cunt was not happy with the fact that I wasn't there anymore. She was just livid that I got a settlement and that I blew the whistle on her trying to get her friend in there. And so, I got this phone call from the CHP. Apparently, they have a special division of the CHP for managers if they are threatened in some way. And, I was like, I used the chain of command. I used the legal process, the grievance process through the union, and I was done. I moved on. And the CHP officer, hey, I'm using a pseudonym here. Hey, Susie says that you called her a cunt and threatened to kill her. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, well, play it for me. I did not do that. So I told the guy, hey, I did not do that. Go ahead and play it for me. I want to hear it. Why don't you come in the office and talk to me? And he was doing that. He's trying to get me to incriminate myself for something I didn't do. And so I was like, yeah, well, why don't you play that? And I hung up the phone and I didn't think anything of it. And so like 3 years later, I got pulled over for a cell phone ticket, and they ran me through the computer, and they found a warrant for, in California, it's PC Penal Code 422, a terrorist threat. And that could be either a misdemeanor or a felony. And this fucking cunt tried to send me to jail. And they did. That I was going to work, and I actually legit got fucking rolled up and sent to jail. I spent the night in jail because this dumb cunt, couldn't handle the fact that I defended myself. And they have a special queue in CHP for this stuff. She made it up. It was all bullshit. I had to spend a night in jail. Not only did I have to spend a night in jail for that, for something that never happened, that, if we were dealing with honest prosecutors, the J6ers are talking about this, by the way. Listen to Joe Biggs. This is real. This shit happens. So there was never a phone call. 3 years prior, the CHP called me and he said, yeah, what's up with, threatening Susie Q and calling her a cunt and telling her you'd kill her? And, I said, hey, play the evidence. Let's hear it. Because it never fucking happened. And so they rolled me up and they're like, oh, that's not the process. That's got to go to court and you have to make an appearance. And so I had to spend like $3,000 on a lawyer for a phone call that never happened, that there was no record of because this dumb cunt said there was one. I'm getting mad. And like that's government service. And so this Doge stuff about resigning early, I'm fully for it. So that shit happens all the time. And it's being brought to light now thanks to Doge. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, rant.
Oh, no.
It's not like jail is fun or anything. That really sucked. Although, if you have to go to jail, that was one of the better, uh, one of the better jails to be in. Hang on here. Oh, here we go. I found it. I'll go ahead and share it. All right. Yeah, it is BS, Rita, but that shit happens all the time. And there are people that are not as strong as I am and don't defend themselves that let the shit roll, and that's what they're expecting with me. That I was just gonna like let it go and not what I'm getting real. And she went around the fucking office telling people she was gonna fuck me before she got rid of me. It wasn't gonna happen. I don't know what signals she was picking up, but no way. I tend to not like to be dominated, although a lot of people in the state do. I kind of like, and we can get into the whole. I'm getting mad. I'm gonna go on a rant, but whatever. We can get into the whole philosophical thing about, relations and dominance and passivity. But I prefer an equal partner myself. I like that interplay. I like vibing it out. I like that stuff. I don't like, oh, fuck me or you're gonna lose your job. What the fuck, man? What a lunatic. And she was like I'm 47 now. This was in 2014. This was like 10 years ago. And she was my age now, and I'm like, no, I already had like other stuff I could be, I didn't need that. What am I, desperate? Fuck off.
Hail, Medi.
Anyway. Small Time Republic says, Wes, you should have gratitude for your time in jail, like Larry. Yeah, she lacked gratitude, says RR. Yeah. Donald Piasek, hopefully I said that right. Feminism is a disease. Well, that's the thing. Here's what's even worse about it. I told my mother what had happened. And my mother's like, oh, I don't believe you. You must have done something. Women have worked too hard for them to behave that way. What? And then the supervisor, and other women that I talked to about this, they're like, well, men have gotten away with that for a long time. It's just the way things are, and now they get to. Fuck you.
Wait.
Here we go.
And I'm going to tell you why I don't feel bad for federal employees being forced to come back into the workplace. I worked for the Army Corps of Engineers for almost a year, and the abuses that I saw by government employees was astounding and shocking. I worked as a realty specialist, and that is someone who manages government-owned lands. So when farmers and ranchers lease land to graze cattle, we would manage that. When I was hired, my boss bragged that it was basically impossible to get fired from the federal government, and that in her entire time working for the government, she'd only seen one person fired, and that person assaulted a fellow employee, and she wasn't even fired for assaulting the employee at work. She was fired for lying about it because they caught it on camera. When I worked for the government, we were allowed to work 50% in the office and 50% from home for the most part. In some cases, if you'd worked there, like I think over 10 years or something, you could actually work from home 3 days a week and work from the office 2 days a week. I use the word work very loosely. One employee spent his time remote working, running his own farm. Another employee bragged about drunk driving and going out to lunch with her friends for margaritas when she was supposed to be remote working. No one would log into their computers, and you can see it because they're not on Teams, and no one ever checked. Ever. There's something called the 80-20 rule where 80% of the work in government is done by 20% of the people. And this
Or like the 95-5 rule.
People who get a job in the government a lot of times find out that it's very difficult to fire them, and they take advantage of this. One employee would come into the office, his start time would be 6:30, and he knew nobody would be there. And when I came in at 7:30 and I was the next person to come in, he was snoring at his desk every single morning. Another employee would take the government truck on an almost daily basis so that he could go out to lunch and then go and take a nap in his favorite park under a shady tree in the government truck. One of the very first things I did when I started working for the Corps, I spent 3 months cleaning up their real estate files room, which was a disaster. The
That's what
government
I
is
did.
using an antiquated system that was developed sometime in the 90s and using regulations that haven't been updated since the 90s to manage our dams and our government lands. Our government is filled with the most incompetent and most lazy people and an occasional hard worker. And those hard workers are severely punished every time they outwork their colleagues.
Oh, yeah.
Because then the colleagues realize people will see that they're lazy and they don't want to have to work more. They're just buying time until they retire.
Yep.
In almost every
Absolutely
case. My point is, some of our government organizations haven't been maintained or updated in so long that you basically need to create a new organization and start from scratch. Because there's almost no way to transfer it over. And there's so much red tape in between, it'll never get done. But I know that our government is inefficient because the people working for it are not doing what they need to do to take care of the rest of us. So no, I don't think government employees should get the benefit of working from home. If our government is not working for us, we shouldn't have to take
I'm going to pause it right here, because that was another thing that we found out when I was doing that budget analyzing was we had remote workers, right, from 2003, and this was in 2014. And so they went through and they found a bunch of these people that were remote working, and they hadn't been in the office for 7 years. You know, several dozen of them. And they realized that they'd been paying these people and they had no idea who they, you know, what they were doing if they hadn't even logged into a computer for 7 years. And so it was hushed up. It was hushed up. But what they did was, you know, they tried to get a hold of them to get them to come into the office. And like 2/3 of them, their contact info wasn't even in date, you know, wasn't even up to date. They couldn't even get a hold of them. The phone numbers were disconnected. The addresses were incorrect, and they were still getting paid direct deposit. These fucking people were. And they couldn't even figure out what these people were doing. So their solution was to send them all letters, not even registered letters to the last address on file, to come into the office once a month, or they would lose their jobs. And I think like out of the several dozens that did that, only like a handful ended up actually getting the notice and coming into the office. We're talking about people that were making like 80 grand, 90 grand a year, maybe over 6 figures with benefits for like 11 years. And, you know, working from home, and 7 years, they'd never even logged into their computer. I'm not even kidding. We'll continue listening here because she's got some good stuff to say.
In a technological age, they choose to take that long. That's a choice. So they can choose to do things faster and more efficiently, and then they can choose to get remote work back. I don't feel bad for them at all.
Yeah, I don't either. And earlier in the video, I don't know if you guys saw that, she said, you can't reform the system. You have to start over. You have to just get rid of it and start over. And I agree. Shellback says, where can I get that job? Well, you're a veteran, so you probably would get in. Just put a bunch of disabilities on your application and you'll get in. But no, you don't. Well, I mean, honestly, she wasn't terrible looking. You know, I just don't like to be dominated, and I've got my own. I had my own stuff going on back then. I was doing pretty well. I didn't need to be boning my boss. Believe me, I had other options available to me at that time. I'm getting mad. Okay, I'm done. All right, that was my rant.
No, no, I get it. Yeah,
Jail. She sent
it's
me to jail, Drew. She sent me to fucking jail.
I know it's crazy, man, what people do.
I had to get an
Um,
attorney. She tried to get me on a felony rap.
yeah, so I was having some issues with my PayPal guys. I went and I just updated it to my current. They wanted my current information, so I updated it to my current information. So I did change the info on the pinned. It's my normal current email address now. I was using apparently an old one, and they wanted me to update information, so I did. And if anybody sent anything and it didn't go through, just cancel it, redo it. And thank you again. Sorry about the inconvenience there, but I fixed it. And the Stream Elements tip link works as well. I updated that as well. So we're all good. Yeah, Wes, it's funny though that woman exposed just what a problem it is. And I think the wider thing with Doge, it's going to expose a whole lot more of that. I mean, you're going to see ridiculous amounts of money where that went to places that had no business going.
You really are. I think you are. And yeah. By
You
the
know,
way, that is par for the course. Just like this woman said. Yeah. One of the things that I was grateful for that was nice was that they tried to encourage green, being green. So they give you a bus pass, and there were these commuter lines. And because it was downtown, the parking wasn't that great. So I would take advantage of that. But one of the things about taking advantage of that was that all the people at the bus stop were all state employees, and this is not atypical. They all had stories like this, all of them, and that's how I knew I was in trouble. I was like, "You mean this is par for the course? This shit is typical?" I couldn't believe it. Like half the people in that bus stop were getting railroaded. Half the people on the bus were getting railroaded in this manner. Okay, I'm done. Yeah.
you know, I gotta say it's just so crazy the amount of just absolute highway robbery. It's what it boils down to. Just the amount of trillions and trillions of dollars, billions of dollars that the American people had no idea, had no idea where their money was going. And here we thought that declassifying the JFK and MLK and you know um, the other files was going to be big. No, what's going to be big is once we find out the entire mismanagement structure of the money.
Yeah.
That's what's going to supersede everything, because that's when you're going to have an angry public, an angry, united public.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, well, I think once the benefit comes through and we get rid of these, these leeches, these parasites, and they start shutting down departments, and President Trump is doing something that President Nixon was doing, impounding funds, that is not spending them. And I talked about it a bit on my stream. It's going through the courts right now. That was struck down in President Nixon, but before the 1990s, do you know when the last time was that we had a balanced budget?
Oh God. What really and truly, when was the last time we had a balanced budget?
Before the 90s, it was 1969. That was passed by the Democratic Congress and Lyndon Johnson. Richard Nixon assumed office, and he started doing this thing called impounding funds. So what that means is, Congress, you appropriated these funds up to this amount, and we can get it done for this amount. And so we're only going to spend this amount. And because he did that, we ended up with a balanced budget in 1969. And the courts struck it down because they said, well, that's like a line item veto. That's not the executive. Congress dictates that, what the spending is. And so what's brilliant about Trump is he's challenging that aspect. He says, okay, so there's a couple of things happening here. One, you're appropriating the money for this. And then two, you're saying that we need to do this. Now, if I can get it done for less, and you want me to do this, whatever it is, then getting this done is all that matters. And if we do it for less, then, the money goes back to the Treasury. It's absolutely brilliant. And that's one of the things I love about the buyouts, because in a government budgetary environment, and this is what's brilliant about it, because, the Democrats are like, oh, that's unconstitutional, this and that. And it's not. So by getting them to voluntarily resign for that fiscal year, the budget year, they can draw a salary and just fuck off and not show up to the office and get their benefits for 8 months to the end of the fiscal year. And what I learned as a budget analyst is that if those positions are unfilled at the end of the fiscal year, the law says those positions go away and you don't get that money. That's what's brilliant about it. So by saving, he talked about it, you save $100 billion a year by doing this. He's absolutely right. And it's genius and it's common sense and it's promises made and promises kept. Thank you, President Trump, for common sense. We love it. I'm getting mad. Okay, now I'm okay. All right. Sorry. Getting a little PTSD.
Okay.
My time in the
Well,
state.
we'll see.
Yeah, we will, but it's going through the courts, but it's a case of beat the rap, not beat the ride. Maybe they'll decide the other way, but drag that thing through the courts as long as possible.
Amen to that. We'll see what happens. Oh man. Well, I just want for this to continue full steam ahead. That's the biggest thing I want to see. I want to see it. Fast, aggressive. I'm also interested to see what happens with the Panama Canal situation. Definitely a strategic asset that we need back.
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the stream, we said there's so much wind. Where do we start? And I mean, that's a place to start. I mean, let's look at even things like Taiwan, right? So right now, Taiwan produces most of the semiconductors and chips. And Taiwan is officially a part of China. We have a one China policy. And if Taiwan gets invaded, even though it's not officially independent, we've kind of pledged to defend Taiwan. And that would mean, under the current circumstances, like a nuclear war where we would, 500 to a billion and a half people would die over that. And one of the brilliant things that Trump did was he's like, hey, I'm going to put tariffs on Taiwan. We're bringing the semiconductors back here. And at that point, do we give a shit if China invades Taiwan? No. We're making them here. And so it's like so much common sense. And people like tariffs are going to increase, you don't like inflation, you don't like prices going up, tariffs are going to bring it up. Maybe in the short term, but we have a petrodollar. And so if the dollar gets stronger and we reduce the cost of energy, you can have a stronger dollar, and a stronger dollar makes imports much cheaper. And so if you increase the value of the dollar by 25% and then you slap 25% tariffs on imports, nobody's going to feel that. And we get to fill the treasury up. So it's just like, it's common sense. It's good policy. And it's such a refreshing change to see it.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah. These Democrats are self-owning left and right. They are. I shared the Katie Couric thing before. I'll share another really stupid cell phone by these dumbasses. Thank God their reign of error is over. It's been too long. It's time for it to be over. And it's just like, it's finally we have somebody looking out for the American people. It's nice. I shouldn't be angry. I should be happy. I should be happy, but I still have like I feel like a battered wife, and I finally left. It's like, oh, this is what it feels like to not get my ass kicked every day. Nice. So yeah, we'll show this cell phone here. Like, wow, that's what it's like to not get my ass beat every day. Nice.
Yeah, I hope things will really come together again. I think within a couple years we're going to be in a better place, but it's going to take some time. But in the interim, while we're getting there, there's still a lot of effective shit getting done. I'm happy about.
Absolutely. So yeah, I went ahead and shared this here. This is another cell phone from these idiots.
Don, I have not necessarily heard of that network. However, doesn't mean that I won't check it out. I'll check it out.
Okay, so here this gentleman says, so if I understand maggot way of thinking, it's known as maggots. This guy can be governor of Texas, but not an air traffic controller. So he's basically saying that we're ableist. But the point is that this guy got elected in the second most populous state, and he's in a wheelchair. So we're ableist when this gentleman was elected? What the fuck? What a retard.
No, it is retarded, but the people they don't get it. They're going to spin it. All the progressive people don't understand that the very platform that they support is just so over the top mentally ill thinking. They don't get it because they're so like they think somehow they're pulling some kind of social justice out of it, and there's nothing that they're pulling out of it that makes sense for anyone. There was always a standard of equality. We never needed diversity, equity, and inclusion. All that was another money grab in order to enact programs to launder money through.
Yep.
Same as climate change, the same as everything else. That's all it was.
They're finding out a lot about these NGOs, these nonprofits, how the money's being laundered through. A lot.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, to go back to this tweet, so he was elected the governor of a red state. You're saying MAGA, and MAGA elected him, and they're saying that a governor, you can't have a governor as an air traffic controller. You fucking idiot. That's not what it's about. First of all, he's well beyond being an air traffic controller, and number two, you need to be qualified to be an air traffic controller. And anybody that's in a wheelchair, or not in a wheelchair, regardless of your race, if you've got the skills for that, that's the person we want, you moron.
Yeah, you have to have merit-based hiring. If you don't have merit-based hiring, you're screwing yourself. You're screwing yourself because, the DEI programs called for oh, well, let's just check the box. Let's bring in, the loud ghetto chick instead of somebody that has a hell of a resume, knows this industry up and down, has maybe 15 years experience. Oh, we can't bring them up because we got to hire the loud ghetto chick that probably doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground. And that's the thing, because they're going to hire people, and in this case, those particular policies for air traffic control called for people that could have severe cognitive disabilities and things like that. No, I don't want somebody that has, you know, like seriously messed up things going on in their brain that requires them to be alert, watch the screen, and make sure that they're on top of their game in communication. If they can't even process thought fast or speak correctly, I don't want that. And why the hell would anybody hire that? But if you're required to, then yeah, your talent pool sucks.
It's designed to. It's not designed to be efficient. It's not designed to be good. It's a payoff. It's creating. It's like Obama said, "Hey, we need a domestic army." You know, in the Obama deception, that's just as strong and just as vital. That's what it is. That they're creating sycophants. They're creating a cult of sycophants, but they're so stupid that they can't have smart people, so they have to have dumb people. And now the chickens have come home to roost, and that's where we're at now. Where the stupidity, it's like that episode Up the Long Ladder of Star Trek The Next Generation, replicative fading or multiplicity. You get to the point where you have the stupid people, and then you've got the clone of the clone of the clone. And now we're really at the point where you have shit-eating retards with crash helmets. That's where we're at.
Liberal Democrats deserve what they get because they let their party be taken over by the communists without any pushback, without any fight. They let their party get taken over by the communists. And you know what? The Kennedy Democrats came over to our side in the end and ended up to be like the new MAGA party because even the establishment Republicans didn't like us after a while. So that's fine. And we ended up taking over the Republican Party anyway. Yeah. So, I guess
we got them. We got the Bernie Bros. We got all of them.
I mean, I guess it's just in the end like just a 180 essentially that it's just a turning, but all it is like I was never one of those Cheney Bush type of Republican people, but I am full on Republican now because I'm an America First thinker. I'm an America First thinker. That's how I roll. And I'm America First all the way. But the state of the Democrat Party, thank God that my mom's long gone, because if she would have saw what the Democrat Party turned into now, well, she was seeing it on the end. I mean, I sat there, I woke my mom the hell up before she left this world.
Yep,
and I'm proud of that. But yeah,
I haven't had as much luck with my mom.
It just God, the Kennedy Democrats, man, they just lost out. They just let their party get taken over by a bunch of commies. So and the WEF was happy because they knew in the first place that was the vehicle to go. That was the path of least resistance. Take over the Democrats.
So Sci-Fi Nation I'm not sure if he's alleging that we're an echo chamber or that they're an echo chamber. Can you clarify for us? But he seems to want on. So yeah, let us know what your thoughts are. It's been a while since I've been on stream. I seem to remember you from some of our past interactions here. So if they're an echo chamber, then is that what you're talking about, or we're the echo chamber? I don't want to be an echo chamber. I don't think we are an echo chamber, based on some of some of these, true libertarian fights and MAGA fights and establishment Republican fights, been pretty damn brutal. So I don't think we're an echo chamber. I think that things have been pretty hotly debated. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I'll stop sharing this. We've covered that.
Oh, wow. It's going to be a balmy 35 today.
It's going to be 57 and windy. Okay, so Sci-Fi Nation is saying that we are the echo chamber. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't mind having him on.
Well, I would if I had the
Okay.
time to do it, but I'm going to wrap here in the next 10 minutes because,
Okay.
I've actually got to get to sleep. And,
It's
I'm
almost
sitting,
midnight where I'm at, so it's like probably like 3 in the morning where
I'm
you're at.
sitting here doing this about, howdy, Jay. Yeah, I'm sitting here doing this about, you know, 10, 15 feet from the bed. And
Wow.
I
The
don't
studio
want
looked
to,
great.
I don't want to keep I don't want to keep the misses up. So, I'm
And she's
gonna,
not a Fed. We're glad about that. Yes.
oh God, no. Such a far cry from just the last relationship I was involved in. So different. God, she's good.
Yeah, she seems super cool. I liked her.
Yep. But yeah, Wes, I will get up with you soon. I thank you for coming on. I thank you for doing this show with me. And you know, thank you to everybody that hung out and came here and watched it. Look, I'm going to do a United Resistance episode here soon. I'm also going to get into the series that I really feel passionate about doing. We're going to do some independent reporting about the housing crisis, kind of base it off of the daily life of what I got going on here, but kind of just show the after effects of the housing crisis from the perspective of where I'm staying and everything else. So we'll let you guys see that, and we'll uh, we'll get on. We'll get together here soon for United Resistance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
This is great. This is a great return to um, the High Heresy. It was good being here. I mean, it was good hanging out with you. I haven't done this in a while.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of these days, guys, I'll break the Sasquatch stuff out of hiding, and we'll do a little of the good old midnight prism. But anyways, I'm out of here. It's time for me to get some rest. I'm getting tired. So
All right.
good night, y'all. Take it easy.
Thanks for hanging. See ya. Oh wait, this is Drew's channel. Subscribe.
I don't have any I did get a subscriber. And by the way, thank you, Don. Before I go, thank you for that. All right. Good night, folks.
Good night. Subscribe and like and share.